what I thought. So I'm gonna do that for the opening. I'm trying to plan my wedding.
You want her to play your wedding?
My wedding.
Oh, your
My wedding. My
hearing
wedding.
aids
Boy, I was
in.
surprised everybody. Everybody will show up for that one.
When will it be? For the offertory? Okay, I'll mention that that was something they had requested.
Yes, and you want Ramblin' Wreck at the end?
Good morning.
Why not?
Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is October 1st, 2023. My name is Deb Harris, and I'm your worship associate for today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. We're on YouTube also, so welcome to anyone watching us on YouTube now. To be put on our email list or to find out more information about us, you can go to our website at tcuuc.org. Note that there is an email link to request our online newsletter that comes out each Friday. And now if you just check that your cell phones are silenced. We welcome our new visitor today, and I'm not going to put her on the spot to come up. We have just a few announcements. After the service and coffee today at 11:45 will be the first Sunday discussion here in the sanctuary. Also, because it's the beginning of the month, this Tuesday will be a brown bag lunch at the Stewart Veterans Memorial Park downtown. And be sure to save October 13th to hear John Morn and his band, the Stubborn Bastards, who will be playing here for our Friday Cafe from 5 to 7. So make sure to bring friends, family, neighbors. It'll be a really nice night. We thank those who helped with today's service. Jackie Robbins, our wonderful cellist, Judy Bajoris, our pianist, our greeters, our ushers, our host, Karina Poloni, our tech support, Rachel Valentino, and of course we thank Joanne Leone and Marguerite Gregory for the coffee and snacks after the service. Our own Reverend Bob MacDonald is in the pulpit today, and now we'll begin with our prelude. Thank you. Beautiful music to start the day. All right, our chalice lighting words this morning are from Katie Romano Griffin. Remembering our unity. May the flame of this chalice, the symbol of our faith, connect us to all who have come before us, all who are with us in body and spirit, and all who are yet to come into being. May it serve as a reminder of our unity and connection across time and space. My opening words this morning are from Vanessa Southern and Allison Jacks. Saturday night took out Francisco's nieces for their birthdays, 20 and 23, and talking about all the changes that they're likely to experience. 20s are good years, usually, and thinking of all the changes I'm going through and that many of you are going through. And I thought these words might ring true to you as they did for me. It's from the UUA website. Life is complicated and uncertain, and gorgeous with some things we can count on. It has seasons of struggle and seasons of delight, and sometimes the two blow in and bloom simultaneously, like now, maybe always. And we are here together, all of us from different corners of the world, different families. We're here, breathing together, questing together, holding each other through it all, laughing and singing in the face of it. If there is a journey to liberation, if there is a way to live resurrection, I think it is like this. May what holds us in bondage to death or loss or hurt or sadness or literal heartbreaking be released. And what gives us life, hope, joy, rebirth, feel invited to claim us, and we may claim it. Sinking our roots down into what grounds us, reaching toward the sun, flowering into this season, all whose traditions witness to life more abundant claiming. After a season of loss and winter struggles of heart and mind and spirit, may we open our hearts to the abundance of creation that surrounds and sustains us. And now, if you're willing and able, please stand for our first hymn, number 118, This Little Light of Mine. Thank you. You may be seated. And now we'll recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I thought hymn number 9, No Longer Forward Nor Behind, by Whittier, made a pretty good reading. So we'll just read this in unison together. No longer forward nor behind, I look in hope or fear, but grateful take the good I find, the best of now and here. I break my pilgrim staff, I lay aside the toiling oar. The angel sought so far away, I welcome at my door. For all the jarring notes of life seem blending in a psalm, and all the angles of its strife slow rounding into calm. And so the shadows fall apart, and so the west winds play, and all the windows of my heart I open to the day. Our matters of joy or sorrow, we ask you to share yours, knowing that you will be heard and supported. We ask that they be personal and brief, not announcements, please. And we move a stone for you into our symbolic river of life, which is moved a bit this morning to let these flowers be displayed. They're from Bud Cifelli's memorial service yesterday. It was a fitting tribute to him to have all his children and grandchildren up here telling things about Grandpa and their dad. Who has a matter of joy or sorrow to share?
My name is Pam Corbin. My matter of joy is that we have the alternate Thanksgiving coming up, and someone from this church stole a casserole dish from another member. I said that to get your attention. And the other member came to me and said, my casserole dish is gone. And another member came to me and said, I took the casserole dish, I packed it up, I walked it to her car, put it in the car, she didn't have a chance. That's the kind of church that I'm proud of. Thank you.
Anyone else? I meant to mention at the start that you probably know today is Jimmy Carter's 99th birthday. Wow. He doesn't seem to know that he's in hospice and dying. He appeared at a festival with Rosalind this past week. She's got her own aging issues. But anyway, they've been a wonder for decades. Anyone else with a matter to share? So we move one for those that we don't say out loud, but most of us have somebody that we have in our hearts and on our minds a good bit. For a pastoral meditation, I found this in the back by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He's the author of what famous writing? Got it, got it. In here it's called the eternal now, from generation to generation. In a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes up the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musings and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between the generations. Therefore, we do not neglect the ceremonies of our passage when we wed, when we die, and when we are blessed with a child, when we depart and when we return, when we plant and when we harvest. Let us bring up our children. It is not the place of some official to hand to them their heritage. If others impart to our children our knowledge and ideals, they will lose all of us that is wordless and full of wonder. Let us build memories in our children, lest they drag out joyless lives, lest they allow treasures to be lost because they have not been given the keys. We live not by things, but by the meanings of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation. And now moments of silence. Spirit of Life, number 123. We remain seated, we hum it, and then we sing it. Now, I say every week that we hope that you experience joy and generosity here. We need your generosity so we may continue sharing here. And again, I'm taking 2 offerings, but only the first one now is for this congregation. The second one is for Maui. It's on a plate right up there. And I'll leave it there. And if you have something you want to give to Maui, it's a special offering or collection we're receiving to send one time to the UU Service Committee to raise whatever we can to help that devastated area. So put what you want if you can, and there are little envelopes if you want to put your name on it. But first of all, you're offering for us. Who wants to be the usher today? Besides Bill Falk, who would like this? That was requested yesterday for the Cefellis who loved it. Was that familiar to anybody here, my buddy? Yes. I didn't know you were that old, Tia. But that's what they said too. And so that was played beautifully yesterday by Judy. And for the postlude today, we'll have the song, I think you said for the postlude, right? So it'll be later. The song requested by Bud for the reaffirmation service they did in, I think, 2015. I'm not sure exactly when. He and Irene, for their 70th anniversary, came to the front after the service and reaffirmed their vows. So I said to them in their home to plan this, what music do you want to walk into? Thinking Bach or Wagner or Mendelssohn. No, it was the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech. And so we had to include that yesterday, and you'll hear it as our postlude today. But before that, I found a choral video from the Baltimore UU. Has anyone here worshiped in the Baltimore UU? Well, we have one who talks about Baltimore glowingly and lovingly, so I will have to remind her that she missed it today, but she can catch it on the video. We'll wait, Karina, we'll wait. You're worth waiting for. Somehow those little boxes make me think that was from the time of COVID and Zoom. And how we miss, no we don't. But I do have a couple of Zoom opportunities this week I'm going to be telling you about first now and then later. On Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Tuesday at 6, the Southern District of UU is holding a Zoom gathering on issues and needs of tribal folks in Florida, Native Americans. So you can sit in on that, Zoom into that, but I don't have it with me. You have to email and tell me you want the link, and I'll send it to you. It's Tuesday at 6 on Zoom. So if that interests you, let me know, and I'll send the link back to you. I hope to make it. It sounds like it should be interesting and things we should know about. The unusual occurrence of 3 memorial services here on the last 3 Saturdays, to be honest, I found rather jarring. The death of our 2 church members, John and Bud, had the ingredient of merciful when death happened. John wanted to move on from memory loss and care, and Bud at 99 was not whom we remembered and always will with gratitude. Still, it felt like a lot of loss, and many of us are experiencing that in the wider reaches of our lives. The challenge is to go on knowing what we know and perhaps fearing what we may fear. For many people, probably we could say for most people, religion is intimately and directly associated with death. In the 70s, I got a copy of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's On Death and Dying. I thought that was awe-inspiring and eye-opening, that those stages applied to so many kinds of loss in life, certainly to death. I led a study group in my Long Island church, and soon in district educational gatherings. In one of them, a man came in to sign up and looked at me and said, "Are you the teacher?" When I nodded, he said, "No thanks. I want to learn from someone closer to the experience," and walked out. One of our book discussion courses here, about 10 years ago, was a great courses series on burial practices around the world and what archaeology has learned about religion from ancient grave sites and burial practices. So whether it was appeasing the sky to keep death away, or to help one through the reality, whether a shock or expected, one trinity that matters in the Judeo-Christian religions is the importance of hatching, baptism, matching, marriage, and dispatching, burial rites and privileges. Hatching, matching, and dispatching. However big death may loom as an incentivizer for religion, still for me, the Romans had it right. Carpe diem and tempus fugit. Is it fugit or fugit? I think fugit. I should know that, my love of Latin. Do not prognosticate. So religion is primarily about what we are living for, what we make our priority. What we do here in congregations is challenge each other about what's important as we carpe diem. You may have seen in Friday's weekend update Weekend update, that's SNL, isn't it? It's just our Friday update, yeah. We will try the current events Zoom again, starting next Friday at 11. Our current events Zoom. You have to let me know if you want to join in. The best thing is to email me. A number of you have told me that other UU churches have a regular Sunday forum before or after worship on current events. The idea is to inform each other what's going on in DC, in Tallahassee, and in Stewart and Port St. Lucie. I want it to be informational and not ranting. We will start with ground rules like no monologues, no filibustering, and of course, what we should know about has to lead to what we can do about. That's the purpose of informing each other. When I have asked you for sermon ideas, a few of you have said, help us with putting death into perspective and to deal with dying more realistically. I've thought of ways I think we can do it better here, like informing our families, especially our children, what we want at the time of our dying. We have let some we here at TCUUC, have let some hardworking people among us slip into history, our history, without any ritual of closure, because their family did not want such here. We are a kind of family also, and even if we just stand in a circle and express our grief and our gratitude, we ought to, we must, and we will. If you have thoughts about what you want in that circle or worship service for you, you know I will make you listen to Bertrand Russell's What I Have Lived For one more time, and some of my favorite sayings of Jesus. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but miss the log in your own eye? And how many times must I forgive? 70 times 7? Actually, the word put to Jesus was, how many times must I forgive? 7 times, and he says 70 times 7, which means endlessly. Gems like that when my time comes. Anyhow, you should let us know, and we will keep that for whoever else will want to know at your time. In 2015, I think it was 2015, Bud Cifelli and I sat in their living room, and he went over what he wanted for his service. I didn't think to tell him, be sure we get a copy of that, and his very watchful family didn't know about it. The one thing I remember from that 2015, I remember saying to him, I gather you won't be wanting me to read anything rich from the New York Times. Bud, an ardent conservative, let me know every time I quoted from the New York Times. The teachings of religions we know or came from, their teachings about death are not clear or easy to understand. The Jewish scriptures portray longevity as a blessing. Well, we know longevity is a blessing until it isn't. Christianity, which sprang from Judaism, calls death an enemy and seems to offer some kind of victory over death. Both of these religions, Judaism and Christianity, offer pretty slim pickings about finding meaning or meanings in death. What you get about death in Jewish and Christian scriptures is metaphor, picture talk about mystery we can't talk about in any other way. So, the book of Revelation gives a detailed picture of the victory of good over evil, the victory of the faithful over the unfaithful, pictured, of course, in the afterlife, because it wasn't happening in their real time, not in the Roman Colosseum anyway. But when you try to read picture talk literally, what do you get? You get UUs. One of the last books of the late Bishop John Shelby Spong, a progressive Episcopal leader. The book on this, which really spoke to me, is called Biblical Literalism, a Gentile Heresy. Biblical Literalism, a Gentile Heresy. The point was, the Jews expressed their faith with metaphor. It was the only way to express their faith. So Jesus comes along, a Jew, and he talks in pictures, in parables. And talk like that is more powerful if you don't know what he meant. So you have to keep scratching your head. You have to be a bit more open and not so sure that you got it. And those who wrote up Jesus' life were Jewish. So the Gospels are all metaphor. And the faith was exported to the Mediterranean world, and the Gentiles there in that world who heard the stories of Jesus' life didn't hear them as metaphor. They heard them literally. So, Jesus rising from the dead, for instance, a pretty big for instance in Christianity, meant to Gentile converts, is it resuscitation or resuscitation? You know the word, right? It's one of those. It's one of those. Coming back to life. That's what it meant to Gentiles who heard the story. To the Jewish Christians who wrote about it, it likely meant he lived on like any good teacher lives on. When you try to express that, for instance, literally, which the creeds struggled to do, you know, he ascended into heaven and sitteth. Making Jesus ascending, literally, a pretty lonely figure, because all his followers, according to the scripture, lie and wait asleep in their graves until the trumpet shall sound. Metaphor talk makes no sense when you read it literally. But, says Spong, if you read it metaphorically, it may do for you what it was meant to do for you. Lift you up, and hold you together so your life could go on in times of loss. Now, we would all answer this question differently. What is the worst death we have endured? People we live with and love and lose, those are deaths we don't fully recover from. But one of the gifts of a deep love is the blessing of memories that help us go on. Even animals we have loved and who loved us back in their way, they too become memories that help us go on. I'll never forget or cease to smile at the memory of a paw that appeared under the bathroom door and kept appearing when I really wanted to be alone. The worst deaths we face, to me, are the loss of our children. Our children are a big piece of our heart and a big slice of our future. That's a biblical view, too. Maybe you've heard an old camp song. Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. That's even picture talk, because according to the scripture, literally, Father Abraham had one son, and that in very old age. The idea being way past the time most people die. So Father Abraham actually had Isaac, literally, but in the camp song had many sons. Sorry, daughters, you also had to survive patriarchal religions. One of my friends in a Connecticut church used to say she didn't want to live too long. And by too long, she meant live longer than her children. What is needed, given the reality of death, is a support system. Extended family used to be that, but all that changed with families spread across the country and the earth. Voices on the phone and faces on the screen just can't do hugging. Virtual has its limits. Faith communities, congregations, can be support systems. Joys and sorrows are connective tissue. Knowing, hearing other survivors means we can too. Death striking someone dear to us is never a choice, but letting other caring people hold on to us until we are more steady can be our choice. And one thing a faith community does is remind us we are alive. And why? So the opening and closing hymns today were ones I use often because they remind me of UU's mandate. This little light says to me, we are all chalices, candles in the dark, a little light in the face of threatening forces. A line from the recent series, A Small Light, a documentary on the host family of Anne Frank, the family who hid her and her family as long as they could. That series ended with a quote from the teen, Anne, near her end. Even a teen can light a candle or turn on a light, and that teen did before her execution. And so faith communities remind us, while you live, live. Turn on your light. Only you can. And the UU faith community reminds us continually that we aren't just individuals, just little lights. We are part of a greater community, even a world. And however scary we may find the world, whatever our fears for the future of the US of A and the free world, we've got to work to make a difference. That can still be, must still be a, if not the, point of our living. Another quote I can't forget is the late Reverend Jerry Falwell, whom at the time I thought was evil personified. But he smartly told his would-be moral majority, the key is to get control of local boards. Boy, how that is coming to bite us. Get control of the local boards, community councils, school boards, and that other little local board called the Supreme Court. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to go there. Which reminds me of a quote from Jesus. The children of this world are wiser than the children of light. We didn't know how hard we would have to work to keep America what it should be for all. So faith community, what Dr. King and the UUA call beloved community, keep on telling us not to give up. There is a greater good. We just have to work harder than we knew, even when staying awake is getting harder than it used to be. Okay, so this closing hymn, I think, reminds us of that. 159. This is my song. Let's stand as willing and able. Please be seated. This closing was asked of me for the service yesterday, but I thought it was good for today too. It's entitled What I Know by Kenneth Collier. I do not know where we go when we die, and I do not know what the soul is, or what death is, or when, or why. What I know is that the song once sung cannot be unsung, and the life once lived cannot be unlived, and the love once loved cannot be unloved. And now for Bud, one more time. The rambling wreck of Georgia Tech.